Well, welcome, Andras. It's good to have you on the Games Tavern Happy Hour. I'm excited to have you here today. For those of you who don't know, Andras Bondor is the creative genius and the owner behind Overhead Games and the Epic Character Generator, which generates some amazing avatars in realistic fashion for your characters in any type of TTRPG or fantasy realm that you want to create. And we've been lucky enough to get some time with him today and have a conversation about the man behind the amazing product. So, Andras, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm also very excited to be here.
Great, great. So, let's kind of just start with you and talk about you a bit. And as I mentioned, like when we talked before we got started, this isn't a job interview or anything like that. This is like two guys at a bar. By the way, cheers.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be bad for me later. So anyway, tell me about where are you from originally? What part of the world are you in right now, actually?
So I'm in Hungary, Europe,
Okay.
and I'm originated from Hungary.
Okay.
I've been living here for most of my life. I spent a year and a half in the UK while
Okay.
working there a few years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's getting pretty late in here.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And thank you again for staying up a little bit later for us too. Always
So
excited to talk to somebody. So you're from Hungary originally. You
yes.
grew up there. Is there anything unique or interesting about growing up in Hungary that you think is different from anywhere else?
Uh, I'm not sure, to be honest. At some point, I always wondered how it would have been different if I grew up in a country where the nature language is something which is spoken or most widely audience. So if I were born in the UK, I would be speaking English perfectly, and my life would have been completely different. But
Oh, of
since I
course.
needed to learn English, it's some of the obstacle I need to overcome when we are trying to interact with anyone internationally.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is one of the main challenge I would say. But apart from this, it's I think it's I'm still in one of the most favored parts of the world if we are looking at other continents, for example. So
Hmm.
I'm
Well,
all good.
Hungary has a huge history behind it, and obviously a lot of lore and everything else that goes with that.
Yeah.
Are you a big studier of the history of Europe and the world out there?
To be honest with you, history has never been one of my favorite subjects either in school. I'm not a good learner, so if I'm not interested in something, I find it really hard to be able to remember it. But when I find something interesting, I can dive deep into it, and I can really take all the information out of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm not a history guy.
No worries. What are some of the things that interest you heavily? I mean, obviously games interest you, but are there any other specific interests?
I play the drums,
You play drums?
so
Okay.
yes. So I like playing the drums, but I only keep it as a hobby. I used to
Hmm.
play in a band like 10 years ago. We
Hmm.
have an album up on Spotify, but these days I'm just, sometimes every week for a few hours, I just sit down, play some songs I like, and then I move on. So I don't really have any specific goals with this part of my life anymore.
What kind of songs do you rap out on the drums right now?
I'm more of a rock and metal person,
Hmm. Okay.
but I have a very varied taste when it comes to music.
Hmm.
So, but I always preferred the kind of music which has real instruments in it rather than just having some computer audio.
Well, I'm a trumpet player actually. So
Really
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nice.
I actually like a lot of jazz, but I also like a lot of Baroque pieces as well. So
Okay.
whenever I can speak to another player, it's kind of nice to discuss some of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
you
who?
know, th-
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, just wanted to add that there are some bands which usually play like heavy metal, death metal, and usually they team up with symphonic bands and bring the whole performance to another level. And
Hmm.
I often find it very enjoyable to see how this kind of collaborations come together.
Oh, amazingly so. Yeah, and seeing how a lot of instrumental pieces have turned into a lot of very modern stuff, like the guys
Yep.
from Croatia, the two cellos guys. Have you ever
Yep.
seen those guys? Those guys are amazing to watch and stuff like that too. So,
Yes, absolutely.
have any musicians influenced you in your drumming?
Uh, Quite a few, but I would not go into names because, as I said, I cannot really remember like places and names and age. So, yeah, I have a lot of favorite bands, and each time as I grow and as my musical taste goes through different iterations, I'm always finding new bands to find to really like to listen to. This year I started moving into the progressive part, so I really discovered a lot of new musicians who are really, really good at what they are doing, and they are very inspiring. But like they are here, and I'm somewhere outside. So yeah, I really like watching people who are virtuos of their instrument because they're very inspiring. Although I know that myself will never be that good because it's not a goal of myself, but I still find it inspiring.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, if you've ever been a player, you definitely can admire the quality in other players
Yeah.
who have exceeded the standard by considerable margins. So
Yes,
that's
that's for sure.
awesome. That's awesome. So as we kind of move forward in talking about you a little bit, so you grew up in Hungary. I mean, what was life growing up for you in terms of that, and how did that lead into the gaming aspect? And I guess which came first, the gaming or the artist or something in between, or how did that work for
Uh,
you?
so, so when I was a child, my mother taught computer science in primary school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to get on the internet quite in an early phase
Mm-hmm.
because we usually had the computer modem which was dial-up. We were
Mm-hmm.
able to get this home every weekend, so I had some internet time when I was in primary school,
Oh
and
wow.
then my mother was able to do some kind of programming in a basic level,
Mm-hmm.
and I always liked playing, so I imagined myself as a kid being a game developer when I grew up.
Oh
But
really?
yes,
Okay.
and I even made some silly games in HTML when you just click some icons and some story-based game happened.
Uh-huh.
But as I grew up and I went to middle school, I didn't really focus on the programming part, and I took a completely different route, and then it all came back to me like years later when I already been working on different industries, and then at some point I was like, oh, well, I want to make a game. How do I start? And then I started learning all the information to be able to create something, and then fast forward 8 years, here we are today. I'm a programmer, so I'm a full-time programmer. Right now, I'm working on the automotive industry, but
I'm sorry.
I've had
Just so I make sure I'm clear on that, you're working in the TV industry,
automotive industry.
ultimate industry,
Automotive,
automotive
like
industry. Okay. Okay.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Okay. Outstanding.
yeah. So this is my day job right now. I worked in computer games for 5 years, and then I've had my own company focusing on mostly epic character generator for 7 years by now. And this has always been a side project, a hobby. I was working on constantly and trying to improve every month and week.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is in a nutshell.
So
We
just
went
go ahead. Go ahead.
just saying that we went quite far from the original question, did we?
Ah, it's fine. It's fine. It's like I said, we're just talking. So, as you grew into your creative sense, like when did you? So there's some people who they catch this creative bug, or they've always had it all their lives. Which was it for you? Were you always creative and coming up with different cool things as a kid and working your way through, or?
Not really.
Hmm.
I remember when I was a kid, I had a bunch of Lego, the little blocks you put together and build things out
Lego.
of it.
Mm-hmm.
Lego, that's the one. And then I always looked up to one of our neighbors because he was able to create fantastic things out of it. Like it was like sometimes I was just inviting him over to build something out of my stuff because they were different. But I never really had this kind of artistic talent. When I had some basic ideas I could put together, it was good enough, but I never achieved a certain level of quality.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the main reason I chose to become a programmer,
Mm-hmm.
because when you are doing coding, you are just building foundations for something so others can build on, and all the artistic bits are always provided by someone else who better understand these aspects than me.
So you're great at organizing the artistic work of others and doing something more with it and building on it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, I can definitely see how that's come into play with the Epic character generator.
Hmm.
Um, so were you into tabletop games at any point in time, or was that really a transition from video games to tabletop games for you?
Uh, I like playing tabletop games, but
Mm-hmm.
I often find myself very time constrained. So I'm always trying to focus on games which have a measurable amount of time to be invested in. So we sit down with our friends, we play a game for like 2, 3, or 4 hours, and that's the maximum. So we are not going into anything that takes the same amount of time over and over every week, and we are continuing some big progression thing because this is something I just couldn't dedicate myself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm trying to focus on things which can be played in one sitting, and also the same goes for computer games. I'm trying to avoid multiplayer games as much as possible, because especially if they are skill-based games, because you just can dump so many hours in them, and
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I'm always trying to be more productive with my time and focus rather on building than on playing. But you need to play, obviously, to get a better understanding of what's working, what doesn't, what people like about. And I also need some free time sometimes, or I
Yeah.
need some having fun. So yeah, so I like both.
Well, definitely. What are the tabletop games you play currently that you enjoy for when you do play?
uh, this year was pretty harsh for tabletop games, as you can imagine, but we found a computer game, Among Us, which
Among
is,
Us? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's basically a tabletop game in disguise. So I'm
It
not sure.
it's definitely an in-person social game in disguise.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll
So
have to have you. We play Among Us on our Discord server.
yeah, I
We'll
saw
have to
it.
have you on playing sometime. We'll make sure you get in.
Yeah, what I thought about multiplayer games. So there's a game actually going on with my friends right now, but
Yeah.
I said I cannot join because I was intending to do. So
Yeah. I'm just gonna warn you, purple looks sus. Very sus.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm usually blue. So
Okay, and you're usually blue. I'll keep that in mind as I write that down. Blue is sus. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Um, with with your tabletop gaming, you didn't really mention which tabletop games you played though. So which ones
Yes.
are really, there is no wrong answer, by the way. But what are the tabletop games that you're into? Because like people are going to want to know, like as you generated out Epic Character Generator, obviously some of these tabletop games had an impact on it. What were some of the ones that impacted you?
So I did not play any games which would require you to do character generation.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I'm not the most creative person in the world, but if we jump back in the story 8 years, I started working together with an artist who were playing a lot of these games, who were playing a lot of role playing, doing D&D, I
Mm-hmm.
imagine. And then she was able to draw these characters, and
Mm-hmm.
she was asked by all of the other party members to draw the characters for them. So she said, like, why don't we put together something which others can actually use to generate these characters? So this is where the idea came from originally.
This is a perfect, I think this is a perfect way to circle back to, you mentioned that tabletop games have kind of taken a hit this year. And in some ways they have, but I think in some ways what we've seen, especially beneficial for your particular Epic character generator, is we've seen a lot of people now switching to online virtual play with each other.
Yes.
Using things like Zoom or Discord or
Hmm.
Roll20 and a number of other different products. What's often been difficult for some people is how do I generate some characters that look like my character that I can show other people so they can at least get an idea of what I look like as a character.
Yep.
And from a virtual play perspective, that epic character generator that you make is pretty amazing. But have you seen an uptick in terms of use of that since this has started, or have you seen kind of an average growth currently for that?
No, this year we see some increased growth. So obviously, because everyone is playing from home and they need to find the different platforms to play together, as you have mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
there is an increased user count we are seeing each day who are coming, downloading the software, trying it out for free, unlocking free packages, and lots of them like what they are seeing and they start to buy some of the packages. So it's absolutely for us, it's a good year because the more people are using our product, it's obviously better. Not because of a pure financial point, but because we created something and we are happy that we are seeing people using it and finding joy in using it.
Outstanding. And you gave us access to the Epic character generator, and we played with it, and it was quite exciting to see all the possibilities that are available to people, and there's all sorts of upgrade packs and everything else available. Hey,
Mhm.
just in case, because we haven't really shown it during this interview, Epic Character Generator lets you make hyper realistic avatars of your character. All sorts of different races, all sorts of different genders, and all sorts of accessories. And there's upgrade packs so you can do different things with each of the different character types and different add-ons for everything from pets, familiars, clothing options, weapons, all sorts of stuff to go with that. Just to I'm going to transition briefly to this to kind of show off to everybody else some of the various different things you can do, and you see just a variety of different stuff there. You can see everything from wings to different types of armor, different pets in the background, different backgrounds entirely, and you can have spell effects, all sorts of different races and options as well. I mean, from dwarves to humans to half demons and other creatures, as well as some variations in terms of the art styles as well, because you also have like a portrait feature. I think that's pretty cool also. Um, from your perspective, what do you think is the most exciting thing about this particular product line that you've created?
Hmm. It's interesting. So I think our product works well because we positioned ourselves somewhere in the middle. So you have several products which focus mostly on drawings or drawn character images,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a lot more options there since you are only like modifying different vectors. And then you have the full 3D engineering softwares where you can create like fully animated, fully 3D, super realistic characters. But it's a lot more expensive and it's a lot more work to get uh, it right for your needs. So we kind of trying to aim for the middle ground when we have good looking characters which are realistic because each of the characters in the first two seasons have been actually rendered images of real 3D characters with real textures, and then all the exports have been post-worked in Photoshop, so they have an enhanced feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's easy in a sense to put together a character because you just choose different layers to put together and then move some layers, recolor some layers, change the layer order for some points, and you can have some really good images in a very few clicks. So I think this is the most interesting part of our software, that it's accessible, very easy to use. You can even run it on your mobile phone if you're on Android, and then you have some really good looking characters.
Yeah, and we only showed the fantasy stuff, but you also have a modern character pack as well.
Yes.
Perfect for any modern game, be it Vampire the Masquerade or other modern role playing games as well. I think you even have some hero features as well.
Yes, so we have modern packages as well, like
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic and sci-fi, and also superheroes there.
Hmm.
So it's we also have a comic monster package which you can create your own like comic styled monsters, be them like fishes or mammals or
Oh, really?
raptors or any kind of combination in it. So yeah, we are trying to be versatile as well.
Oh, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Um, do you have any new? I mean, if someone had a cool idea, how would they? How would they? I mean, would you take those ideas and then try to make them real if they're something you've never done before, or if there's enough requests for them, or how do you determine what you're going to do next?
Yeah, that's a fair question. So right now, what we have is we have a completely open developer workflow. So I have a very extensive description on how, if there is an artist out there who has an idea for a character package, and they can simply download all the necessary tools. We have PSD templates, we have video walkthroughs, we have config generators, and they can even try it out in the software without letting us know that they are working on something.
Ooh,
And
even a
then,
developer package then. That's
yep,
amazing. Okay.
yep. So it's all open. And so if you're an artist and you want to create something, you can play around with it. And if you like what you're seeing, you can reach out like, okay, I created something. I want to put it up for sale. What do you think? What do you think would be required? How much elements would I need? What would be the pricing? We can discuss all that, and then we are offering revenue share. On the other end is what you are saying is, if you are a user who like the packages, but you miss a few items here and there, specific styles, you can always reach out. We have a very active forum with a lot of veteran members, and in the most parts, they are very very helpful, and they will be helping you to figure out like, okay, this thing is actually here in another package, but they are not compatible, so you will need to export them both, and then you can move the item and it's there. Or there were some cases when um, there were some people who were reaching out to us. I will need some new kind of like fox tails, or I need some other tails for the antro cats. And
Hmm.
then other user on the forum like, okay, I can create them, and then they created it and submitted it, and then we added to the packages for free for everyone. So there were also these kind of community packages who were contributing to the software for free. So these are also interesting. And then if we are receiving a lot of feedback for a specific style or a genre or a character type, we will try to prioritize it and schedule it with the artist we are working right now to see if we can make it a reality. And we are also often running surveys to ask our users what they like, what they don't like the software,
Hmm.
what are the kind of improvements they would like to see, what are the existing settings they want to use. And then we have a pretty good understanding on if we are going to do another package, what should we do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And such a lively forum it is. I've checked it out myself. I was very impressed with the amount of commentary and subject matter that was on there. Um, from a streamer perspective, because obviously you can use this stuff for your personal games all you want, but if a streamer was to pick up a package, could they use this on stream and be fully licensed for that, or they have to get a separate license for that?
No, absolutely. So our basic license is says that you can use the characters for anything you would want,
Mm-hmm.
and you can use it in your games or products or on your streams without any restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we have a pro license which will let you use the images without like featuring a logo on the image or referencing Epic Character Generator as a source of the image. So normally, if you would create any kind of product like a game or a software, or you would make an adventure and put it out there. Without the pro version, you could be required to say that, okay, images are coming from a character generator, but it's all yours. If you have the pro version, you no longer required. The only thing we have is that you are not allowed to resell the images without adding custom value. So you cannot just simply export a bunch of different characters and put them up for sale on any of the try to RPG or other sites, because that wouldn't make any sense. But as long as you are incorporating the images in something where the focus isn't on the images itself, they just enhance the experience, you are all good.
Okay. Okay, great. And all they have to do is reference Epic Character Generator somewhere in the stream?
Yes,
Okay.
if you are using the non-pro version, but if you have the pro version, you don't even need to do that. Of course, credit is always something which we are happy to receive, but you aren't obligated to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're big fans of playing around with it too, and we expect to be trying some stuff and maybe showing off some stuff here possibly in the future as well. So
Yeah, I look forward to it.
hopefully we don't make something horrible. We'll see. We'll see if my artwork is any good. Is there anything new coming up with their Epic Character Generator or Overhead Games, for that matter, that you want to tell anybody about right now?
To the first two questions, yes. To the second question or the third question, if I want to tell you, it's interesting. So we have a new package right now in the making.
Oh yeah.
I just received the first draft of the package in the beginning of this week, so I didn't have much time to play around with it and give feedback to the artist. But I think it will be interesting. This is something we've never done before, so it will be something unique. We are always trying to be unique with a new package if we put it out. But I cannot tell more. Hopefully, we should be able to release it by the end of the year, around Christmas.
Oh,
You see.
okay.
And for Overhead Games in general, we are pretty busy in working on a detective RPG. Behind the scenes, we didn't announce the game. We didn't publish anything about the game yet, but it's in the making, and hopefully we will have something playable also by the end of the year, but maybe in the
Awesome.
beginning of next year.
Awesome. Well, when you're ready, we'll be happy to have you back on to discuss that new game when it comes out.
All
That'll be
right.
exciting. Where can people find Overhead Games online?
Well,
What's the website?
it's overheadgames.com.
Exactly. And
It's quite.
where can they find Overhead Games in social media?
It's the same. Overhead Games. We are everywhere, like
At
Facebook,
Overhead
Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it.
Okay, so at Overhead Games on Twitter, at Overhead Games on Instagram, and are you guys on Facebook as well?
Of course.
All right, you guys are on Facebook as well. So just look up Overhead Games. We're friends with them on Twitter. You can also find them referenced sometimes on our Twitter occasionally, as we've talked back and forth with Andras. Andras, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up here today?
Interesting.
Okay.
Maybe.
We can edit that out,
Yeah.
no problem. All right. Well, Andras, thank you so much for your time today. We know it's really busy and it's actually kind of late where you're at. We really appreciate your time. Can we have you back on sometime in the future?
Absolutely. If you see something interesting coming out, or if you just want to have a chat, let me know. I'm always up for it.
Okay. And if you're looking for Overhead Games and you need to get in touch with them, you can check them out at overheadgames.com. You can also reach out to us at any point in time. We'll be happy to direct you there as well. And you can probably find references to them on our Discord as well, which is probably going to be mentioned here on chat just as you check it right now. So, all right. Well, thanks again, Andras, and we'll see you guys right after the break or when we come back.
Thank you very much.
And